Hi, guys, and welcome back to the LeLoni Grace podcast. Today, I have another awesome guest. Her name is Heather. She is a mom. She started out in the corporate world, moved over to fitness, and then ended up in the high ticket sales area. So, welcome, Heather. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, LeLoni. Thank you. Good to be here.
I am so excited to talk to you. I've been wanting to do this podcast with you since the Christmas party at Lisa's, where we sat down on the couch and chatted a little bit about life. So I'm excited that you're here.
Yeah, likewise. I'm glad we made it happen.
Awesome. So let's just jump right into a bit of your story. So back pre-kids, you were in the corporate world.
Yeah, I pretty much right out of high school did a stint in university and then pulled the plug on that. Wasn't for me at that time. Got into bartending and then right when I was about 20, started working for corporate. And, I remember at that time being so like, yay, I got a 9 to 5. And it's just such a different chapter because I was really building and wanting to buy a house eventually. Anyways, 10 years total doing insurance claims. So really black and white, like, what is it? Left brain is like the logical side, very masculine energy, like battle mode. And it seems like another lifetime ago, honestly. But it gave me this stability. I met my husband right at the beginning of that too. And we were able to, we bought a house back when it was possible to do that.
Yeah, right?
And, so I'm thankful for that chapter big
Yeah.
time, but I'm also so glad it came to a close.
Yeah. So what was kind of the turning point for you to get out of that world?
Knowing that I was going to start a family and I saw my coworkers, and this is no offense, intended to anyone who chooses this path, of course. But for me, like I saw my coworkers, mat leave done, when their kid was 1 year old, exactly putting them in daycare. And again, I understand that that's a path that makes sense and is, preferred for a lot of families. But for me, I didn't want it to be such a sudden jolt like that. And so I knew I gradually exited out. I was in a very, salaried position for 8 years. And then right before I got pregnant, I moved. It was still corporate, but I moved into 100% commission. So it was like strategic where I was like, okay, I'm going to get pregnant. I'm going to be sick and tired. And like the thought of showing up at these set hours every day. So at least working 100% commission, it was my first dipping my toe in the water of like really owning my results and having a taste of freedom. Yes, I was still to and from the office, but I could work at home a bit. So I did that, I don't know, about 6 months or so before I got pregnant. And then, went off on mat leave there knowing I wouldn't go back. And it really was my first like deep declaration to the universe of like, I trust something's going to come up for me. And I need to open the door and allow for that space for it to drop in. I don't know what it's going to be. So, traditionally, people usually would wait until your mat leave is done before you give your notice because you don't have anything lined up, right? And in this case, it was a big deal, a big trust of, okay, I know I'm not going back there. I'm going to do them the decency of like letting them know so they can fill my seat. So it's about halfway
Bold.
through. Yeah. And that was one example of many in my life where it's worked out in my favor, where, I gave that notice and it coincided as well. My husband was also in a very stable corporate job and he was issued a voluntary departure, meaning he could get a good severance to totally start over if he wanted as well. So it was like, we had this newborn. Well, I was halfway through my mat leave. I knew I wasn't going back, switched into teaching yoga and Pilates. My son, once he was about 6 months old, that's when my husband got his notice. So literally within like a year span of us in pregnancy mode and then newborn phase, it was a total 180. So I guess the short answer to your question is like not only having something flexible that I could be there for my kids when they were little, but also for them to grow up with parents who were in fulfilling work. Because like I was so misaligned in that previous world doing insurance, and I just knew I wanted to be in service for others and doing something that I really was passionate about.
Yeah, because kids pick up on that energy when you're in an unfulfilling job and you come home and you're dead tired and frustrated and all that stuff. They pick up on that so fast, even when they're little.
Absolutely. And that's what I experienced growing up. My dad, he worked, love him, bless him. He worked so hard for us. I'm the youngest of 5 kids. My mom was a stay-at-home mom until I was 15, and my dad was the provider for us, and he was exhausted to the bone. That's just it. I saw him come home and just totally shut off every night, and I was like, "There's no way that," again, I love him. That's the path he had to do at that time, but for me, I'm like, "Okay, there's gotta be another way."
It's amazing how much your parents influence you, whether
Mhm.
you wanna, like, be like them or do things exactly the opposite of them. Yes, we love them to death for what they did for us, but it definitely forms us in a way that's like, "'Kay, I like what they did with me here, but I don't like what they did with me
Yeah,
here." So that's
absolutely.
cool that you could take a different path and
Yeah.
just be there for your kids a bit more.
Yeah, yeah.
So then moving into the fitness space, what was that like for you? How did that work with your kids?
Yeah, it was really neat. It was such a and I'm turning 40 in, like, a couple weeks, and this conversation is so timely because it was literally when I was, like, 30. We're talking this last 10-year. I'm deep in reflection lately about my 30s, and it started Pilates teacher training. It started, my first couple yoga classes that I taught. So, yeah, started with yoga, did that while I was pregnant, and then started my Pilates teacher training, which is very thorough, very in-depth, many weekends, many modules. My son would have been about between 6 and 9 months old at that point, and my husband would bring him to the studio so I could breastfeed on my breaks,
Wow.
like, I was no sleep, like, it was the start of a chapter that was a lot of burnout, but slash and, it was beautiful. Every day I was like, "I can't believe I'm now in a world that people choose to come work with me instead of insurance," where, they had no choice to talk to me, and it was always for a bad reason. Now I was in a place where I could really enhance people's lives and help them. And I started in clinical Pilates. So I was at a studio working alongside physiotherapists, and majority of my caseload was one-on-ones. And I really fell in love deeply with the anatomy and my intuitive guided sense of just exploring pain science and how people respond. And I mean, gosh, you and I talked about that night.
Yeah.
So I really have a passion for and I do miss it. But yeah, no, it was a nice chapter. A lot of different phases within that, starting with the clinical Pilates and then getting into total 180 of teaching group fitness, or sorry, group Pilates of 12 reformer machines. And then at a different studio, 6. So, anyways, lots of different sort of iterations of Pilates. I even had my home studio, this space I'm filming in right now. I had a
Wow.
reformer right here. So yeah, the last 10 years it was a really nice flexible piece, but there was such an income ceiling. And that's the segue really of what we're talking about, I think, is because we had another child in 2021, another boy. We've life is so expensive.
Yeah.
Obviously, and there was no way I was ever gonna get ahead if I was just hustling, making the wage of a Pilates instructor and just doing that.
And what did your husband end up pivoting to in this time?
Massage therapy.
Okay, so you're
Yeah.
both just working on people and helping
Yeah.
people out.
Yeah, so it was really neat. Like, I have cousins, my male cousin and his wife, they live in Victoria, BC, and they are owners of a clinic. And then I've got another set of cousins, male with his wife, and they own a chiro clinic and an acupuncture clinic. And
Wow.
Lance and I at this, again a decade ago, we really aspired one day to like have something like that. We were like, that's so neat. And we both had such a passion for anatomy and healing and wellness. And that kind of looked to be the trajectory, but again it was that realization of the ceiling and the brick and mortar space and keeping practitioners, if we were to open our own clinic or something, like what would that actually look like? What would the capital look like to get something like that started? So yeah, many times throughout this 10 years we thought about that. He's still doing it. He's been doing it for about 6 years. And I actually went down to his clinic this morning and had a massage. I have to book in with
Nice.
him to do it. It's just a proper setup, the table and everything. So he's the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize how much money goes into running your own brick and mortar business. That's huge.
Massive. Yeah. And time and uncertainty. I mean, yeah, it's a noble path. I'm glad people do it. Obviously, there's some beautiful places that are available for us to use. But for me, I was like, I don't want to be tied to something. I'm grateful that he's got the stability. He's been doing it this long. His caseload is booked. He's been our rock in allowing me to then find other ways that offer time leverage. Yeah,
Because when you're in the Pilates industry, you're still trading your time for money. It's all based
100%.
on booking
Yeah,
your clients, building a client base, being there for specific hours and times. If you have a sick kid, you gotta call in for work. Like,
yeah.
it's just a
My God.
lot.
The amount of mornings we would wake up, one of them would have a cough, and it was panic at our kitchen island.
Yeah.
Who's going to cancel their day? Like,
Yeah.
if he cancels his day, it's like three times the wage I make, but he's canceling like four people. I was, maybe four classes of six people. So I would be canceling on 24 people
Yeah.
and no replacement. Like it was this fight with us of like, oh, I did it last time, it's your turn. Like that was a tough chapter. And I knew it wasn't sustainable. And I was really tied to it for a long time.
Yeah. So is that kind of what pushed you into exploring other avenues?
Yeah, 100%. And it was kind of like tandem with this, probably about 2020, no, 2019 or so. Yeah, 2019 was my first dabble into the online space. Interestingly, I actually started, I called myself a holistic birth coach. I'm very passionate about birth and empowering women in birth. I had two home births. I had so many just this burning fire in me to because I have three sisters. They and so many friends who were like so empowering when I was pregnant. And I was like, I don't want to pay it forward. So I actually created a coaching container and a brand and a platform where I had like modules and you know one-to-one programs and that offering I was like life coaching for birth. That was my first dabble into that. And then 2020 happened and my son was home from daycare. So I was like, okay, I got to just like stop doing this because my oldest was about 2 at that point. And it was like, okay, back to the drawing board, back to just Pilates when the world reopens. I'll get back into that. And then onward from that, attempted to scale my fitness world online, really tried to come up with like hybrid online coaching offers because I just wanted to scale. I was like, I've got so much in here, but oh my Lord, the amount of time and investment, money and time wise that I put into attempting to create offers and get things off the ground. And just nothing really did. And it's not a waste, it's all skills that I built. I built some great websites and now I'm using those skills and things like that.
Yeah.
And so it was like my own entrepreneurial world alongside the fitness. So it was very spread thin because it was a lot of figuring out on my own. And then I came across a high ticket network marketing company in like 2022, frequency devices, and did that for about a year. I was involved with marketing those and using them, and I loved them. And again, just never really took off. The comp plan wasn't sustainable. It was a re-rank every month. And
It's hard.
yeah, but it was my first taste of high ticket sales. Like those were about 2,000 to 3,000 per device or so. And that was my first realization of like the caliber of conversations, like the shift and like knowing it's not necessarily harder than low ticket. It's just different. So yeah, really was slowly introducing myself into that and kind of just like waiting for the right thing to come along. And then over this last year or two, I've added a couple other partnerships in, and yeah, it brings me to where I am now. I completely left fitness this last summer. So that was a huge, again, another like declaration to the universe of like, I'm going to finally go all in on myself now that I've got these systems and platforms and partnerships that are proven by others. If they can succeed, why can't I? Yeah.
And then did you let go of the holistic birthing stuff as well, or are you still doing it?
Yeah. That I stopped right in 2020. So I only did that for about a year. Yeah. And it was really neat. I had a few coaching clients. It was, yeah, it was a special time. Birth was just so fresh for me. And I knew, and I did help the women who I had, and it was great. Yeah. But that chapter closed and never went back there. Yeah.
And so you discovered this particular online high ticket
Mm.
sales back in October?
Yeah.
So what drew you to this particular?
Actually, it was July. A girlfriend reached out to me. Um, And, I've been actively sharing other things online. I've been pivoting so many times. I'm open minded. And I think it's a compliment when people feel safe to share with you. It's not, yeah, it's like, hey, I get the sense that you're an open minded person. You've got big dreams and goals. So she reached out to me in July and I was just busy in the summer. We got Airbnb as well on top of all this.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had started another business like January last year. So I was knee deep in a lot of things. And I was open to it, but I was kind of watching, as a lot of people do, right? They're like, oh, we'll see how this turns out for you. And it wasn't until she finally, a few months in, started posting her numbers,
Yeah.
And again, I think that's so awesome. I don't even resonate. I don't understand why someone would think that's like anything but, something to celebrate, and just so inspiring, right? So I saw her finally share what she was earning. I was like, okay, we need to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's what got me too when Lisa started sharing these checks coming in the mail, and I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, okay, this is interesting. I should maybe find out a little bit more about this."
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So you didn't see that as like, she's showing off. How dare, like,
No, never.
right?
Lisa and I had been friends since like 2020 on Instagram and had connected on other things. And so I had seen her go from the lashing to the coaching to like all the different things. And so at that point, I trusted her vision. And when I saw her start this, I was like, oh, okay. I trust her. So I know she's not selling anything shady. And then I saw the numbers start stacking up. And it did take me a couple months to get into the business as well. But yeah, when she started showing all these checks, I'm like, "Yeah, I need that in my life." Like, I never saw it as her showing off or anything. I was like, more so, "Okay, if she can do that, other people can do that too."
Yeah, exactly. And one of the key things I picked out from what you just said there is trust. Like, I think that's such a big piece of someone's eventual success is if they've built not necessarily a huge following, but like an audience that really trusts them and has seen their journey and seen their consistency, and then a pivot or an addition is like, oh, wow, I want to know more about that because I've seen her all along and I trust her.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why I started this podcast too, because on Instagram, yeah, you can share little bits of your story and stuff, but I wanted something that was able to be long form where you could actually dive in and get to know someone on a deeper level. Like I've had some really deep conversations on here and it's been
Cool.
really, really cool. And even just like having light bulb moments as I'm talking to people or as they're talking to me, and it's just like, yeah, it's been such an amazing adventure.
Yeah. How long were you thinking of doing this before you started?
Well, I've been wanting to do a podcast since I did YouTube like 7, 8 years ago, but I never really had a topic for a podcast. Like I'd talk to different friends and stuff. I'm like, oh, we should start a podcast, but what would we talk about? And so then when I joined this team and I started meeting some of the people on the team and realizing that they had such cool stories, I was like, I need to document this. And now I have a topic for my podcast. And so I just dove right in. I was on a team call with Andrea Nazaria and I put my hand up. I was like, I want to talk. And I'm like, I'm gonna start a podcast. And so as soon as I said it in front of like 100 people on this call, I'm like, well, now I have to do
You're
it.
committed. Yeah.
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 So the next day I bought a microphone and started researching how to start a podcast.
That's so smart. That's so good. It's brave. And then you're accountable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, and then also just sharing more of my journey with my chronic pain on Instagram. That has been really interesting too. Like this morning, I did not want to get out of bed for this. I was like, oh, I should just talk to Heather and reschedule and cancel because I just feel awful. But I'm like, no, I have made a commitment to myself that I am doing this. I am posting regularly. I am not going to make excuses. And so I got my butt out of bed and I got myself ready for the day and I showed up because yeah, when you have something like this, you have a team that's holding you accountable. You have people, you have your online audience holding you accountable, it makes a big difference.
Yeah. And what a way to build trust. Like,
Yeah.
number one, if I always go back to this for myself, if I expect someone to buy high ticket from me, right? Like, that's what we're here for at the end of the day with this business. We want to gain team members and make sales, right? And if I ever expect someone to trust me enough to do that, I have to trust myself. So if I say I'm going to do something, but I don't do it because I have, excuses or stories, or I make like that's just an energetic like, why would someone trust me if I can't even trust myself? And I haven't perfected it by any
I don't think
means.
any of us have.
Oh my gosh, it's like a daily like, oh, I said I was going to do that. But it's love having that like playful energy with the universe of like, okay, if I say I'm going to do this and I do it, what's the outcome? What's the result? How's that going to play out in the grander scheme?
Yeah, and just having something to keep me accountable in the first place has really brought hope back into my life, because there's lots of days that I'm just like I'm laying in bed, I'm like I don't know what I can even do. Like how am I going to make money? How am I going to like I'm just laying in bed doing nothing, and I feel so like just useless, and it, just lost a lot of hope. And then on the days when I did feel good, I'd go out and do DoorDash and work for pennies and had to have my mom come along because I'm not physically able to do it on my own. And it was just getting so frustrating. So finding a business that, again, gives me something to hold me accountable has just made such a big difference in my life, where I'm actually showing up for a reason, for a purpose.
Absolutely.
So
And
that's
and
refreshing.
being public with your story and sharing about what you're overcoming daily, not what you've overcome. Like this is still in your present reality.
Yeah.
So like when people have their excuses, for you to just have that authentic knowing of like, if I can do it, you can do it. Like there's no excuse. We all have our stuff.
Yeah.
And we have no idea what someone's going through, but it's like, where do you go from there? Do you use that as fuel to expand and overcome, or do you use it as a reason to just fall victim? Oh, and clearly you've taken it, you've found a solution, you've found a way to find hope again, right? By holding yourself accountable, by doing something uncomfortable that some days you're not going to want to follow through with, but you are like, yeah, it is refreshing, and it's inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been cool coming at this from like a different angle, because so many people in this space are busy working or busy moms or busy this and busy that. And they're like, oh, well, we can fit it into these little pockets of time. And then I'm coming from this approach of like, I have so much time, but I don't usually have the energy or the capacity to do things. But it's forcing me to show up even in those moments of pain and in those moments of depression and in those moments of not wanting to get out of bed. So it's definitely um yeah, just a different perspective for
yeah,
people. And it's been
yeah,
really cool because I've had a lot of people come to me and be like, I'm dealing with those same things. And it's cool to see someone else showing up in that way. And so if you can do it, I can do it. And I don't think it's something that a lot of people show online, because people don't like showing their weaknesses online.
yeah, yeah.
So that's been really cool, having conversations with people that are suffering the same things that I am.
Yeah, and it's something I hadn't really considered. I appreciate you sharing that, because it's like when you think of your aligned audience or a niche or like, a demographic. Yeah, quite often we tend to reach out to that aspect of like, if you it's just a couple hours a week, or like you're really trying to emphasize the fact that it's very minimal time, low lift or whatever, assuming that someone's busy.
Yeah.
But in your case, to reach out to people who might be in a similar situation where maybe they're on disability, or they're just unable to work, they're in a transitional period, they've been laid off, they've got time. Like, don't talk to me like I'm too busy. That's almost a slap in the face. But for you to level with them on that, that's a beautiful. I don't want to use the word niche in this example, but I
Yeah.
hope it comes across the right way.
No, it's definitely a niche for sure. Yeah, finding those people that can only show up for small
Yeah,
pockets of time.
yeah,
Like yeah, being stuck in bed and being like, okay, how can I work from home? Even to try to find a job where I could work online on a computer, even
Mhm.
that was really impossible for me because the only way I find comfort is laying flat on my back. Like I can't
Mhm.
even prop up in bed. So being on a laptop when you're flat on your back and like having to
Yeah.
crane your neck like this and then try to type on a computer like that, I would
Yeah.
have had neck problems. And so it was really discouraging that I couldn't even, yeah, find a work from home job, and like sitting for 8 hours a day, out of the question.
Yeah.
Even finding a part-time job where I had to stand for like a 4 hour shift, like just any of that was just so out of the question.
Yeah.
So when Lisa started talking about this business and she's like, I can work from my phone, I'm like, that that is what I
Right.
need. Like I need
Yeah.
a job that I can just do 1, 2 hours a day on my phone. So on the
Mhm.
days that I am stuck in bed and I can't get up,
Yeah.
I can still show up. So like I've been making reels from bed. I have been showing up, no makeup, hair a mess, just like trying these new meds and being loopy and
Yeah.
just showing up as I am. And it's just been
Yeah.
really cool. And I've posted some really vulnerable stuff, and our team has just come through and been so amazing. Like the
Mm.
love and the
Yeah.
support that I've gotten,
Yeah.
I'm just blown away by our team, honestly.
So good. Yeah. What a nice place to be when you can do that and it's received in that way. Yeah.
Hmm.
And it's like it just gives permission to others to do the same.
Yeah.
So that's so powerful. And yeah, like knowing your message is going to reach the people who it needs to reach that are like they're out there, people in that similar situation.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
crazy to me how many people have reached out, even people that are in our business too. And they're like, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I joined this business too, is because I can't work a physical job anymore. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
like you should be sharing that. So
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
encouraging some people on our team to share more about that, because
Mhm.
people that haven't been in the online space before and they come into this and they never like talked to stories or made a reel that they're talking to, and they show up and they don't know how to show up, and so they just post what they think they're supposed to post, and it's like, no, you got to be your authentic self, you got to show up, you got to tell your story, because that's how people start to trust you, and that's how you start building conversations in the DMs. And yeah, so it's just been really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I ask you kind of a personal question?
Of course.
On the topic and just as we're talking about people who are maybe in that transitional period where they're like laid off or on disability or in pain or just not able to work for any reason, I could see a real objection being, I don't have the money.
Yeah.
And with any business, there is an upfront cost. You know,
Yeah.
I'm curious what your thought process was in choosing to get started, knowing that you weren't working, and I'm gonna assume you didn't have that capital sitting around in full.
Yeah, no, I did not. And that's what ultimately put me off for a couple of months, because I did try to get financing
Mhm,
for which package, the trifecta, and I was rejected by a couple of different financing options.
mhm.
And
Yeah,
so I was just like, okay, well, this just isn't meant for me. I will just move on. I felt really defeated at that point. And I just kept watching Lisa. And then I started
mhm.
watching other friends join and other friends join. And it actually just got to a point where I just felt so defeated. And I messaged Lisa literally in tears. I'm just like, my life is just a mess and I can't figure out anything and I need something. And please, can we figure out a way for me to get on? And
Mhm.
she told me, she's like, okay, you don't have to come in with such a big package. You can come in with one product. It'll only be 3 grand. Let's find you personal loan from someone and get you in. Cause at that
Mm,
point I was just like, I just need to get in any way I can.
mhm.
And that was just such a lifesaver for me. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I can handle that. So yeah, I was able to get a personal loan that I'm not paying interest on. I'm not I haven't even paid any of it back yet because I'm not making much yet. And the person who gave me that loan is okay with me postponing and paying that back eventually. And I know that's not going to be an option for everyone, but it is nice that we can customize the packages
Mhm.
to suit people's needs.
Yeah.
Yes, it would have been better for me financially to come in with a bigger package and make more commissions on things, but I just needed my foot in the door and I was willing to do anything it took to get there.
Look at Coral in our organization. She, same story, came in with a much like smaller tier package and then eventually upgraded and so on. She just wanted her foot in the door.
Yeah.
So that's just really interesting to me, the psychology, like the mindset between someone who would not even attempt to find a solution and someone who would, right? Like in most cases we don't have that sitting around, so it's like, it's just interesting to me, the thought process of someone who's willing to find that solution. So for
Yeah.
you, like, what was it that made you like keep trying?
I've just always been like an entrepreneur. Like I always knew that I wanted to work for myself. And so when I saw the opportunity, I knew that I could make it work for me because I have that background of entrepreneurship. And then to see that I could do it just from my phone, and I had gotten to such a low point that I couldn't make money like any other way. And I'd even like asked Chat GPT as like, what can I do from bed in chronic pain to make money? And it was like, well, you can post online. I'm like, yeah, I can post online, but like, where am I going to get the money from?
Yeah, need a
And so
system.
yeah, when I was presented the opportunity, I realized, okay, so I can post online, which I love doing. I love making content. And then I have a vehicle to make the money from posting online. It all just kind of came into one aligned thing as like, that's the thing for me.
Yeah, yeah, finding the right vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then getting into it and realizing that I could also do this podcast, that has just like set my soul on fire. And I just love it so much.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, so
Yeah.
having that entrepreneurial spirit, you either have that or you don't. And some people never go there, but others, if you have that, you realize, okay, it takes money to make money, and give me the right system and vehicle, and I know what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And comparing this to like a brick and mortar business like you've owned, like the overhead on that is like way up here. And then this, it's like a one-time investment. Compared to this, it's way down here.
Oh my gosh,
And then the
totally.
commission plan is up here. So it just makes sense for someone with an entrepreneurial mind. It's like, okay, I can see that working. That's like such a good setup compared to
Yeah.
anything you've been in the past. And it just makes sense. It's like, who
Yeah.
wouldn't do this if you've got
Yeah.
that mindset?
And I've had a few, fair enough. People are on their own timeline and path, but I've had a few people that just can't get behind the fact that they would have perhaps a monthly payment for their financing, and they see the sticker price of the full thing. And it's like, I just can't do that. And, even my husband was kind of like, oh yeah, that's a big amount. But I'm like, okay, but look at just the monthly payment amount. And for me to have this door open, it's like my business door is open. That's my monthly overhead for my whole business. And in the first 2 months, I wonder, to do the math. Can I do it quickly off the top of my head? Um, Almost a third, I would say over a quarter of my investment was profited back within 2 months. So it's like, and then it's just all upwards from here. And even though I've got this monthly payment, it's just a cost to keep my door open. That's
Yeah.
the way I see it. And it kind of surprises me when people don't think that way, but I'm like, it's
Yeah.
just, it's monthly overhead.
Yeah. People
It's
get
giving me this
sticker shock.
opportunity.
Yeah. People get sticker shock at the price, but they don't always see that it's an investment.
Yeah,
And yeah, like you said, if you're running a business, you're going to have costs regardless.
exactly.
So this is like what, 250 to 400 a month? Like
Yeah,
that's
it's
nothing to be
nothing.
running a
Totally.
business.
Yeah,
So when
totally.
you frame it like that, a lot of people can shift their mindset and be like, "Oh yeah, that makes more
Yeah.
sense."
Some do, some don't, and it's not for
Yeah.
them if you can't wrap your head around that. And then the other thing with this is you get products. You get amazing life-changing products with that. It's not just like I've got a business and that's my to keep my lights on and pay the utility bills. It's like I get to have amazing, amazing products in my home that are really elevating different areas of my life. Like that's what that money's going towards that as well. So, yeah, that's the
Yeah,
part that we forget
absolutely.
about too.
Yeah. And then when people compare it to like MLMs and stuff, it's like, okay, well, this is different than that because A, it's a one-time buy-in. You're not buying
Mm,
products every month. B, there's no deranking. You're not starting over every month like a lot of MLMs, and that's huge. Because, like you said,
huge.
you were in a
Yeah.
business that every month it starts over, and it's like
Yeah.
then you're constantly chasing people to be like, "Okay, I gotta get my monthly sales in," or "I
Yeah.
have to pay out of pocket to keep those monthly sales in."
Yeah.
And this, like, you never derank.
Yeah. I know. As soon as I heard that, I was like, "Wow, that's great." Because, yeah, the I really didn't go far with that other one, and it kind of crumbled, honestly. The large team that I was on with that other company, it had a heyday, like a real time where people were doing amazing things, and then just eventually it kind of fizzles out. Like there just wasn't longevity in it. And
Yeah.
then a lot of those leaders just left. Like they went on to other things. And, that was something that really bothered me. And with this, I really like that Andrew and Azaria, they've been doing this for quite some time. They're totally committed. And like, why wouldn't you be when the comp plan makes sense and it's so desirable?
Yeah.
It's not to say you can't have other income streams, but like this just makes sense to see where this goes.
Yeah. And then not to mention the legacy bonus that you
Yeah.
can achieve for
Oh,
life and
oh
that
my
you can
gosh.
will down to 2 generations.
Yeah.
Like, that just blew my mind.
I can't even wrap my head around that still. I'm like,
I know.
that would be incredible. Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously a big goal that I'd love to get to, and it's so cool to see how quickly our team is doing it compared
Mhm.
to other teams,
Yeah.
in the whole company around the world.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
even if it takes me 5 years to get to that, I don't care because like, then you're set for life.
yeah. Most people, it's like working a whole lifetime at a
Yeah. 20
company,
years that you're putting in or
and
more
then
even.
yeah, right, and then you've got your pension plan and you've hated every well, maybe not, but it comes at a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this has been an awesome conversation. I'm so glad you're able to make it today.
Mhm.
Where can people find you online?
So I have a couple different Instagram profiles for two particular partnerships that I'm involved with. One that you are also involved with is just my first and last name. So Heather underscore Booi underscore Booi. And then my other Instagram handle is Heather underscore Legacy Lifestyle Co. And that's more in the world of personal development. We market high ticket personal development online courses. So I've got those. And then I'm really big on LinkedIn, actually.
Okay.
For my other business, we utilize LinkedIn for it's great actually for lead generation.
I've never
So I've
gotten myself on LinkedIn.
yeah, yeah. With this other business, it's a case of actually, creating a name and a brand to market these products through. So Legacy Lifestyle Co. is on there. And those are the ones I am on most often.
Okay, we'll have those linked in the show notes. And yeah, that's it for today. If you guys could like this podcast and leave a comment, that would be great. Follow me on Spotify or YouTube, wherever you want to watch. And thank you again so much for joining me today, Heather.
Thank you so much. It was really fun.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye bye.